And we're going to use this time to sync up on work that's going on around the org, eliminate blockers, and prioritize our work. Just FYI, this call's recorded, and we sometimes share clips on social media, although we haven't done that recently. But if you don't want that, just let me know. On the lag metric side, we had $58 in TX revenue last week, which is, I think it was down like 350. Oh, even more. It's down like 850. So there we go. But we had more transacting users, which was strange. 6 weekly transacting users, 11 communities deployed, and 0 new users. On the team-wide announcement side, don't forget to use what did you ship when you ship something for BCard. Excuse me. I see some people are using it already, which is great. And so, it's meant to be relatively permissionless. You just go ahead and write something down when you did it, and we can look at it at the weekly meeting. Another thing is, so next week I'll probably be a couple minutes late as well. Next week we will start 5 to 10 minutes late because I have the exact same situation where I have to drop off the kids and get back here in time. And even leaving at 7, it didn't quite do it. So all this to say that we'll be 5 to 10 minutes late, but then the week after I should be able to make it on time again, as my wife will be dropping them off. So sounds good. Let's not forget standard bounties that we have: card designs, articles, emails, and anyone who wants to start calling nonprofits, US-based nonprofits, would be very helpful. Getting into the milestone perspective, so looking at getting weekly transacting users, mainly we're focusing on new users for the week. So I'll write that down here. 10 users a week. On the community pages side, I did deploy, let's get this out, replace Black Flag Collective site. So we did deploy the first cut of the new blackflagcollective.org. You guys can take it out check it out if you'd like, or if you haven't already. This release actually has like a lot of the code that Tom wrote for connecting to Privy and everything like that, but it's all hidden right now. And the reason for that is those flows aren't yet styled, and those flows aren't yet set up in a way that we can actually use. But I think that now that we have like this kind of flow that we have going, we could start adding that. So the next steps on this are to add login flow, add multiple pages, so that we can have some of the other pages that we were looking at. And yeah, how's the snapshot functionality going, Tom?
Nothing to report from last week. Still the same state that we left it. It's semi-integrated for the vote module, but still has to go through a lot of testing and validation to make sure that it's going to work well. Hoping to get to it this week, but perhaps this week might be a push as well. We'll have to see.
Cool. Sounds good. And also, Tom, I added, I used Orbiter for this, so it means that the site is actually hosted on IPFS.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
Orbiter deploy was in there. Whatever. I was enjoying their really minimal dashboard. I was like, oh man, it's so clean.
Yeah.
But then, I was peeking around, checking out the setup. Seems cool.
Yeah, and so very interesting. It's going to force us to be front end only because it only allows you to deploy front end sites to IPFS, which makes sense, right? There's no back end for IPFS. Or rather there is, we just don't have access to it, I guess. Anyways, all this to say that IPFS is a more decentralized hosting technology, and we're using Orbiter to make it easy for us to deploy. It's possible to set it up through our GitHub to actually do it, and even set up some scripts in package.json, so we don't have to go through GitHub at all if we don't want to. But I didn't do any of that. I just created the site and dragged and dropped the folder in, and so I might make some updates to that as well to make it automatic, but I haven't done that yet. Right now I think it's automatically deploying to GitHub pages, which I should probably stop it from doing, but still interesting if we want to see the previews. We could also use Vercel for previews too, I guess. So either way. Let's see, add previews and auto deploy. We'll see if I get time to do that this week. So that's what we did on that. And then the in-app voting and endowment fund, I did distribute the distributed the funds for May IRL events. And so next step, set up the vote for June IRL events. So if anyone ran an event in June, feel free to reach out and I will get you on the next vote. Otherwise, I will be reaching out to other people manually today. I like to have at least 2 to 4 events in there, and I think I have 2. So, nothing terrible, but yeah, we'll see. Any questions before we move on from weekly transacting users? Oh, actually, sorry, from new users a week. 10 new users a week. Okay. Put this in the proper section. All right, 10 high quality communities. Working on our own community. How's this going, Archisty? You're muted. I don't know if you know that. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm here. Well, I'm here. I'm kind of lost. What? So what? That was.
Sorry, am I sharing my screen? Okay, yeah, I am. So like working on our own community, I see like you got like, for instance, you got the latest flow lit last week. Let's see, got last week's contribution up on splits.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and how about historical accounting? Any?
No, well, so I didn't get to that because I've been kind of away from home and had the house guests and all that stuff this week.
Cool.
So,
well, appreciate you getting up last week's contribution. That was great. And I guess like one of the things is we're probably going to need more Black Flag token, Tom, which I think that you have the ability to mint.
Yeah, no worries. Just send me the number and location to send to, and I can get it up.
Yeah, maybe we can decide on the number right now. I mean, how much are we like sending out on average, Archisty?
right now it's less than. It's probably like between 7 and 15. But I was because I was kind of thinking about this, and I was thinking like maybe set a budget for like 20 a week.
Okay, so 20 a week
20,000 a week.
If we try to do July and August, 8 weeks times 20,000 is 160,000, right? Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. So like, yeah, somewhere like around 150 to 200.
Okay, so 200,000, Tom. I will get you that address right now, which is on Splits, which I think I have open. Teams.split.org. All right, contributor rewards, copy, and I'll send it. I'll put it into the team chat at Tom at Archisty 200K Black Flag token. Let's call it just like the emoji. Black Flag 2. Okay. I think that should be correct. 7B43. Yep. Okay, great. Get some more. There we go. Great. Sweet. So let's get into the task perspective here. I don't think there's much that we haven't already talked about. So community pages milestone 1. We do have the duplication on there. Updated the URL as well. I want to make a wireframe for the badges widget. I think like I'll also add basically what I put in here, which is style and deploy login flow. That's me. So I think that like I mean the login flow is ready to go except for styling. Is that right, Tom?
Yeah, so far as I know, it should be good to go.
Okay, great. So yeah, I'm just going to like remember how we talked about like having that like what does it mean to be a member kind of page. That's what I'm going to create as part of this login flow, and that's what it's going to be at first. And
Yeah,
then
like login landing or something.
exactly multiple pages. Oops, I put that to the wrong person. It's me. Okay, great. So I'll go for there, and we'll see if I can make a wireframe for the badges widget as well. Which, and you know what, I may as well put here, snapshot voting on the community pages. And so this is for Tom, since you're working on that right now. All right, great. Make it easy for us to get tokens to contributors. I feel like we have a new accounting sheet, I guess, right? So we can mark that as complete. And then, like, I guess, like we have like, now it's really just like do historical accounting, and then figure out the new accounting method. Okay. Okay. So it's good for now, I think. And then we'll probably, after the historical counting gets done, we can close this task off, and then we can maybe start a new one for like the next way that we want to use our own tools to kind of make it easier for people to contribute. Does that make sense, Arcasy?
Yeah, and get it kind of streamlined because it right now it's kind of like a sort of ad hoc methodology.
Exactly, and I think like the missing one of the missing pieces will actually be having like a B Foundation or a BCard like website similar to the Black Flag collective one, where you sign in with Privy and it creates a wallet for you, and then we can like use those wallet addresses for contribution.
And then then it would be something that could be I don't know if portable is the right word, but like applicable to other orgs.
Yes, exactly. We can use it as a case study and show it, and then it's going to be on us to create some engagement in some way, and I think that we'll have the basis to do that then, which is nice. So I'm hoping that over the summer we get this. We have like a baseline kind of flow for getting a commute, like adding a new member, basically like compensating that member with a token, and using that token for something. So like voting, right? So that's kind of what we have on the BCard app right now, I would say, except like it's not super accessible. So it'll be accessible to more people, and we can move on from there, I guess. Cool. All right. Black Flag Endowment Fund. Again, so well, I guess like honestly, some of these things are kind of tied in with community milestones, but one thing that kind of came in is that Braille on-ramping is now available in public. So it's basically like a free way for users to buy stablecoins, including USDC. The one thing is that we can't use the money from people's account to do that. So the nice thing is, well, I mean, so it's good and bad. One, we can't use people's money from their BCard account to do this for compliance reasons. We kind of mentioned this last week, but we could like do something similar to what we're doing for the BCard ACH flow, and just ask users like on the Black Flag Collective site to send their money to a specific Braille on ramp, where they could then where we could then automatically deposit it into a pool together pool. So that Black Flag Collective one. So it does create a method for us to do this, the one issue is that there's like an ACH flow in it, which is kind of like people don't really like, but it's still one method to enable this this endowment fund for like most people with a US bank account. Anyways, does that make sense? Did I articulate that correctly? Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you. It sounds okay to me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting new tool. It's basically allowing people to on-ramp via Braille, and then we can tell Braille to put that money into their privy account that we have. So, anyways, very interesting piece of functionality. And then processing audio from DSI AMA. How's this going, Drost?
Hey there. Yes, I have gotten back into it, and I don't have anything completed yet. There were some problems with the tool I use, and they just had an update that fixed some stuff. Another thing I wanted to mention, and I haven't been noting any of this, but because I haven't been doing any output from it, but I've been basically capturing and saving, or not capturing, Winburst does that. But when he provides me that link to Craig after the fact, I've been downloading those files every week. It's just in the last couple of weeks I haven't processed them in any way, but I do have those. So what I've been wanting to do when I get to it is basically get the transcripts from all those and use them as source data for extracting some common themes from our BCard meetings. But that's an aside. But I haven't been putting that kind of stuff in what did you ship this week, because downloading the files and not doing anything with them isn't, it takes me 15 minutes and I don't really want to count that as anything. So I was just thinking about that. And just want to let you know that I'm not doing anything at all.
Well, I appreciate that. First of all, thanks. I guess like any contribution is useful. I guess like the question I have to try to make it like to ensure that you get compensated as well is like, what is the smallest possible thing that you can output?
Right.
I don't know. That's an actual question.
Yeah. We'll make that a rhetorical question for now.
Okay. Because like I think that like when you talk about this, like you're extracting themes and stuff, is it like you're using Descript to do some of this stuff, or what is?
Yeah, Descript to do the transcription, and then I'm able to export like markdown files and other stuff from that and pull that into other AI tools if it makes sense. You can do a lot inside Descript to make audiograms and now avatars. They have some built-in avatars that people don't want to use their faces. And so I'm learning those things, and I'm experimenting on using the BCard meeting data. But it's like, I don't. It's like when you're learning something, you don't want to bill somebody for the time you spend learning. So that's kind of where I'm at with that stuff. One other thing I wanted to mention is there's some tie-in with Octant, and because there's a gentleman that's been showing up in some other conversations where the Thriller and I have been starting to have a conversation over in that other server that you're not a member of anymore. And we've started to attract some folks, and we got a guy in there from Octant, and it's been really interesting to get his perspective on things, and they're wanting to again get more exposures, more content out there, and trying to figure out a way to do that either through conversations or other stuff. So there are these threads, and I haven't tied them all together yet, but I think there's something brewing.
We went through the Octant Accelerator, right? And so I think like we have like some, let's say, affinity to Octant, right? All this to say that like, yeah, like I think like there's probably a lot that you could do that's like positive sum for a bunch of the different things you're working on. And
Sure.
if you need help to talk through some of that, just let me know.
Okay, cool. Okay, good. I've had some thoughts on a couple other things, but save that for later.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that's kind of it on the. Oh, did I go? Is this the July 2nd one? Yeah. Okay, that's it from the task perspective. For what did we ship last week? Honestly, I should have done this before the meet. I will go ahead and grab it from what did you ship. And so I see that reviewed and shipped payments. Okay, so our Christy entered rewards in splits. So it's 15 minutes, and that's 250 BCard. And then links reviewed and shipped payments. And that's 50 minutes as well. So again, 250 BCard. I finished the black flag site updates and pushed live. 3 hours, so that's 3K BCard. Does that make sense? 3K BCard for 3 hours?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, great. I dispersed the black flag. Like dispersed black flag retro funding for May 2025 and shared on social, 45 minutes. So that's 750 BCard. Winverse taped and shared last week's all hands. And that is 2 hours, so 2K BCard. All right. Any other things that we did that we want to put in here? No. Okay. Let me just mark this off. Boom. All right. And discussion. Jose, you said you had. I don't have a discussion prepared, so you said you had a couple things you want to talk about.
Oh, I just had noticed, because every week we talk about, we have 10 communities deployed and so on. And we kind of gloss over that now. And I sometimes have a hard time remembering what the 10 are. And so anyway, I went to getbcard.io, and right now it's only listing nouns, Dowpunks, and do I still have the site up? Let me look.
Yeah, it's right up here.
And the old DAO logo from Bankless DAO.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just wondering, this ecosystem, maybe not ecosystem is the right word, but this constellation of communities that we have as a part of BCard, or the BCard communities now. What are the players and where do they fit in the ecosystem in Web3? I don't even know the answer to that. Like, I know the names, but I don't really know what they do. I don't have like the elevator pitch on each of the 10. And so if we can't even and we being, I'm obviously talking about myself, but I feel like I can extrapolate that to other people if I'm feeling it, that I can't really communicate that effectively and what each of our partners do. And if we can't communicate that or even understand it ourselves, how can we understand what potential synergies or partnerships, or I hate to use these buzzwords, but whatever kind of connective tissue between those communities might be possible if we don't even know what they do. And so I just feel like there's this void of that piece that's missing right now.
Yeah, so I agree that we could definitely do a better job in providing like I guess like some like we could do a better job on just engaging communities in general. Like let's say that to start. I think like what communities do. Well, we do have like one-liners of what all those communities do, right? The only thing is that it's token gated, like it's gate not token gated, but it's gated in the app, right? And so you have to have a B card to kind of see what communities that we have and what they're involved with, right? It was one of the big reasons that we are moving over to a more open system where we have these kinds of like open websites for these communities, which allows people to join and that kind of thing. And then the next step, once we get those communities, is to have kind of like a aggregate like landing page of these communities. So that you can know who they are, and then the next step after that is to use that to kind of potentially create synergies between them. I mean, I'm kind of simplifying it because we should actually be doing more before that stage. We should be potentially having them on our Discord or in a Telegram group or something where they can learn from each other. And also should note as well that like there are lots of other groups doing similar things with a lot more resources than us, and that in itself is not good enough, right? And so we see groups like Octant who are they set up a bunch of Discord chats and Telegram groups of all of these different like Web3 public good builders, and they actually don't have a lot of synergy between their communities. They have synergy between them and their communities. You'll notice that Octant uses a lot of the tools that their grantees provide. So that's interesting. They use like Joke Race all the time. They even when Joke Race isn't the best product to do what they're doing, they use that kind of streaming funding one, which I forget it's called, like Flow State. They use that quite a bit. They're using like they have people do Pizza DAO. Like they have people run pizza parties and that kind of stuff. Like, so for their grantees, they're doing a lot of like synergistic things, but the grantees between each other are not doing, like, they don't have synergies between each other. So there is like some unlock there, which I agree exists, Drost, and I don't think it's straightforward how to make that happen. At Bankless DAO, we were able to kind of do it a little bit, just based with like purely manpower. We would get all these people to go be part of different projects and then create like kind of like synergies between them. And that's kind of what NF Thinker was doing with relationships, exactly, right? And so it's definitely like an area I want to explore. And I also want to preface it by saying, like, I don't think that we're quite ready yet to provide value there. Although I do think that, like, if we know what we want to provide, we can build in that direction. So sorry, long-winded way of saying, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that explanation and kind of deep dive on it. I was just beyond the trying to actually get coordination happening. We know how difficult that is. I'm just saying, like, on a landing page, it's like any organization you go to and you look at their landing page and you went to say about us. It's like, okay, who are they associated with? Is this organization semi legit? And then you look underneath. It's like, who are they backed by? It's like, oh yeah, I recognize a couple of those names. Okay, I'll explore a little bit more. And that's just kind of the shorthand in your brain, that when you go to a landing page and you see all the partners, it's like, oh, they got quite a few partners here. It's not a deep dive on that. It's just, oh, they're working with a lot of organizations and I recognize a couple of them. I like that one. I mean, it's as simple as that. And maybe even have that logo then go link to, maybe either their website or their Twitter account or whatever, that just, or no links at all. Just, these are the communities.
Yep.
I'm just trying to communicate that BCard, that we're connected to quite a few organizations and that you may recognize those.
Yeah, I think that like our landing page is not very good right now, and we need to improve it. And it's kind of something that I was leaving for now, because I wanted to focus on getting the technology underneath it set up so that we could we could do it in kind of the same way that we're doing the Black Flag Collective site. Honestly, like, I'll be honest, Andy did this design, and there was a lot of, let's say, and Zooty Bear did the like information architecture, and there was a lot of stuff that essentially got compromised on this just because we weren't able to put a lot of thought into it. People were kind of working on it completely async. We weren't really working on it. Like Andy and Zooty Bear like almost never talk to each other, right? And so I was kind of the go-between between them, and I was doing a bad job of it. All this to say that, like, I do think that this site could be updated. I guess like simplified with better content is the way that I would put it, and putting all those partners in with links to their main kind of social pages, like essentially the same information that we have in the app, right? We're not doing that right now, but I do think we do need to update it. Are you saying we basically need to update the website? Is that what you're saying?
I was, regardless of where it is, whether it's in the app, which is probably more realistically where people would go, but I'm just thinking in terms of discovery, and when anybody's trying to pitch BCard to another organization, and they want to look at your materials, and all I'm saying is that I think that all of the partners that we have, we should list them and have their logos right up front and center.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, so
wherever
is
it
it
is,
something
whether it's
that
the app
is this something
or
is it something that you can help us with, right? Like, it's in the app. It's not front and center in the app, right? But it's in there, right? Like, we do have all their logos.
You already have to be part of it to see that. That's what I'm getting at.
No, I mean, it shows up the very first thing when you sign up for the app. It shows you the choose your community, and then it like never shows you again unless you want to change communities, right?
Right, but what if you're not ready to sign up?
Yep. So I agree. That's why we're bringing that stuff kind of like into a more public place. For exactly that
That's
reason.
why I'm bringing it up.
I think it would be a great thing. Did you want to help with this? Is this something you can help us with?
Maybe. I've not been able to output anything that I actually know how to do in the last month or so. So I don't want to commit to something I haven't even thought deeply about. But yeah, I'd be happy to help with it. I just don't know exactly what I would do with it. But I just feel like our visibility on who we're connected with is not obvious.
Yeah, agreed. And I think like what you can start with is a wireframe to just show like what, like not for the entire site, but just for like what you expect that kind of logo area to look like. Like, how would you want to see it on like a website or an app?
Yeah, I'll have to think about that.
Yeah, because like there are tools to do it. Like I think like the one that everyone uses is Excalidraw. I use Balsamic, but this is what a lot of people use. They use Excalidraw, and you can just kind of like use it for free and share some things, right? So you may want to try it that way, to just kind of show what you want to show, and then we can like talk about how we might build it.
All right, cool.
Thanks for bringing that up.
But yeah, I was just kind of not to belabor the point. It was just an observation, and I don't have a solution to it. It's just an observation.
I mean, we didn't see as much pickup with like BCard as we'd hoped, right? In terms of even the communities themselves, right? Because we're seeing that it's just not enough, right? Like what the value that we're offering isn't enough for people to really heavily pitch it within their own community. So if the value that we're providing isn't enough, it's hard for us to create additional value on top of that for like connections to communities, unless we have like some novel, interesting way of doing it, which creates engagement. And that's where I think some thinking could come into play and some experimenting could come into play. Because we could, if we have like a way of like, I guess like just creating it, like I wouldn't want to just be like, oh, all right, let's create a Discord group and invite everyone in, right? Because that's kind of what everyone's doing and it's not actually really working that well. But if there was some novel idea that we had to help communities like help each other, then I think that we could create like a kind of bare bones version of it and see it and test it and see if it creates engagement. Because
maybe more thematic based as opposed to community based. So it's like, you know, if multiple communities are having to address a particular area of concern, or there's a discussion point, or they're getting into a philosophy about their something or other, I mean, that could actually be a discussion topic that could bring in interested parties from multiple communities who want to discuss that topic and kind of brainstorm together, and then they might find commonality through those conversations, and as a result end up somehow working together in the back end. But it's almost like you're creating the opportunity for that creative connection that we talk about. Anyway, I'm just trying to brainstorm about how we do get more engagement and awareness and all of that to kind of prime that pump to get others to then be motivated to do things together, because we can't do everything. You know, we can suggest, we can try and facilitate, we can create opportunities to maybe connect on some common ground, and really it's up to people beyond that to decide if it's worth it to them, if this resonates enough, if they have the time, energy, motivation, all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like an example of these, and it creates space for communities to meet each other. In fact, like I think that was one of the biggest valuable things that we did for Open Medicine Foundation, was running that AMA with them, because they found some valuable contacts, they got some inspiration, they started to run some different experiments, and I think that that's valuable. Like so, yeah, I agree with you, and yeah.
Then what? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, that's really good feedback, and I think this is a useful discussion, because, you know, what is it that is, well, I would just be repeating what you said. But take an example like that sounds like it was very effective. And I know NF hasn't been available lately to do those kind of things, but if that's the kind of thing that's effective, let's figure out a way to do more of those, or that kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I mean,
And then
ultimately,
the follow on that
we're
you're
kind of
talking
using
about
what
is
we
like,
have
you
right
know,
now,
I'm
right?
the
And I
weak
think
link
that
here.
like
If you're
like
relying
we're
on one
we're not
person to
trying
slice and
to
dice, you know, then that's a
I guess like
challenge. So part of
it's
my
in the
goal
past there
too,
have
and what
been
I'm
like, you
doing
know,
over in
even
the
this
other place
website, right?
is
Like there's this kind of
trying to help
idea that like, hey, you know, we'll just get a couple people
get
together
that
and we'll do this thing, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely
side
do
of
it. But
things
then as soon as it starts to
going, where
demand
people
a
want to
lot
do
of my time, right? Like for
some of
this
that other
website, it started
stuff,
to demand a
where
lot of
it's
my time.
slicing and
I ended up getting
dicing and
split.
creating B-roll
And so it was like
that kind of thing. You know, I don't
what
know
ended up
where
being
that's going
important
to
for me
go.
was
We're
that
going to
focus.
have
Hey, what
people
am
that
I
are available
working
to do
on?
that, but
And
it does kind of take a
for all
village
the
to get these
people who are
things
able
cranked
to do
out,
stuff,
unless
what can
that's
they
all
work
the
on,
only thing
right?
you're
And
doing. So,
other than that,
but no, I think that's a great
I'm not
set of
gonna
things,
like
and
for instance, I'm
that's a
not
big
gonna
goal to work
run an
towards.
AMA myself, because I'm just not as interested in doing that myself, right? But if Thinker wants to do one, then of course I'll enable him, right? And so it's not like we're relying on people to do the stuff, but if people do the stuff, then we can have a higher impact, right? So that's the difference, I think. And like, you know, Winverse recording the meeting and putting it up, I never would have expected, but a lot of people ended up telling me that they watched that meeting, right? And so just Winverse kind of showing up, doing his thing, like that's valuable. I'm not asking him to do more, but I am like in some ways relying on him to do what he's doing. But if he wasn't here, would we still put the meeting up on YouTube? Maybe we'd try, but it wouldn't necessarily be the same thing, right? Like that may end up being beyond our grasp. All this to say that like we're not looking at creating like super resilient processes right now. We're just trying to create something that works with the people that are here. Yeah. So like, exactly. And so the key is, how do we make something good? And then we can figure out how to make something good on a regular basis. And then we can figure out how to make something good on a regular basis in a resilient way. That's not just relying on one or two people, right? And so like the first thing is like,
fair.
let's make something good first. And that's the hard part. I mean, that's
in
what
the
we're
same
trying to
way
do.
with,
Me
like,
and Tom are
every
trying to do
meeting,
it on
there aren't
the
necessarily
website side.
gems in every
And
meeting.
me and our Christy are trying to do it on
But there
the
are some
kind of
meetings
like
that are gonna
contribution
have a lot of
side,
gems in them, or where there
let's say
might
operational
be
side.
a carryover
But
from
yeah,
one week
like I
to
think
the
like
next, and I've kind of
I
noted
think
those in my
what
head.
we're
But
building so far right
you
now
know, having
is
that
good.
content
Like
and
I'm
being able to
like
put something out
I'm
that's
pretty
meaningful
happy that our Christie's
is,
able
I think, more important
to
than
get
just
these
putting
tokens
out
out on a
something
weekly
to put it
basis.
out.
Like that's something that we haven't been able to do for 3 years, and all of a sudden now we're doing it, right? And so like I just think that like it's true that there's a lot more we can be doing. Thing I can do right now. Yeah, I mean, do others want to weigh in on this? Like, how do you guys feel? Do you guys feel like we're missing out, or we should be doing more, or we should be doing different things? Yep. I do think it would be interesting, but like I want to get a few communities going first
Yeah, that's fair.
on these
I
pages and like
appreciate
have
that
like
perspective.
ways to do it first, and then I think like once we do that, then that kind of like aggregate community view is interesting. We've talked about like having like, hey, this community has spent this much and earned this much, and hey, if we all work together, we can increase the amount of rewards we're getting. So we've
like the
talked about
world
those kinds of
is
things,
full of
but it
things to
doesn't
be
work
doing
unless we
all
have
the time,
engaged
right?
communities, and I don't
It's
think
so
we have
hard to
engaged communities
pick and
right now because
choose
we don't
what
have
are the few
engaging
things we can
stuff
concentrate
yet
on.
for those communities.
Amen to that.
I think I had unmuted earlier because I had a thought that we do have that community data accessible sort of via the app. So if we did want to feed out sort of a more dynamic community area to the website, we could probably look at that.
Yeah, so ultimately, like I think if you take a step back and look at how this might work, like that kind of top level website is likely not going to be the way people find a community to be part of, right? Maybe some people will when we have more thriving communities on there, but the real key for us is to try to create something that individual community leaders want to use and want to push to members, right? And so, for instance, I'm someone who's running a local meetup.
Right.
And
Yeah,
hey, if you use this Black Flag Collective site, you can distribute POAPs to people, you can
sort
get
of the
their
links that we
emails
present on the
easier,
website to
you
lead them
automatically
to
have
a
like
landing page.
you automatically have a calendar of your next events that show up.
The flow in terms of
If you're a local event host
attention
and
capture.
you don't want to do a lot of work to run those events, that could be compelling enough for you to use. And so you're doing the community building, and we're providing the technology for you to do that, right? And so like what we really want is for us to get more members through that bottom-up approach, rather than for communities to get members from BCard. Although that might happen, it's really more we're trying to enable a flow where communities can get their own members easily. And so the way that sorry, go ahead, Dross, I see you unmuted.
Yeah, I like that model because it reminds me of how you would seed software, as an example, to not the IT managers, because they don't want anything new. The last thing they want is something new. You are the problem if you're bringing in something new. You are the last person they want to talk to. But the analyst, the person that's doing the work day to day,
Exactly.
they want to have a better tool to do their thing. Or in this case, you've got an individual that wants to bring
Yeah, I mean, so I'm
people together.
having that
What are
exact adopting new
how can I
technology, and
do
as a
that?
result,
And
their
I'm
technology is
not going
from
to
the
do it
70s.
because
And they've tried
all those things
multiple
involved
times
with putting
to
together an event.
update it, and they haven't been able to. And it's because IT, for them, any new technology
one-click toolkit
represents
to be
risk,
able to
right?
do
And
that.
so what we
It's
need to
almost
do,
like
and what I'm
it is a
pulling the
subversive
organization through
way
is, no, you need to start with the end users. You
of
need to
getting
get them
something
interested in
done
something
without
first,
having to go through
because
the hierarchy
by the
of
time
asking
IT says,
permission
okay,
to
you
have
can
a
use
tool
this new
done,
technology,
as
here's the
an
new
example.
technology, use it. By the time
And it's the
IT
same
does
way I
that,
think of
they've
like
taken
seeding
away anything
software.
that makes it unique or interesting
I'll use
or
my own
usable for those
seeding
people. And so,
software to the
yes, it's a really
deep
good
inside the
analogy for this.
organization that's then
And
going to
that
go
idea
they
of
tell
bottom-up
their trusted coworkers about it,
bottom-up
and that's how
organization, bottom-up
the
work, bottom-up
virality
initiative.
spreads, and
That's what
how
we're
you
trying
get
to bring into the world
standardization
more than
across the
anything
entire
else is
organization.
bottom-up, right? And so
Without the IT
what are the paths for us to do that?
everybody's
First is to build something good for those community leaders, something that they can actually use. And that's what Tom and I are trying to do right now. And that's what actually Arkusi and I are trying to do, because then we can show them, hey, when you get a couple people who are contributing regularly, you can start dropping them tokens with these tools, right? And it'll show up on your dashboard there, so you can have a leaderboard of who has tokens on your website, and that's all out of the box. You only have to do 15 minutes of work a week. That's pretty good, right? So yeah, that's kind of how all this stuff is fitting together. Is that we're trying to kind of democratize access to these tools, because we think that bottom-up tools will create bottom-up communities. Awesome. I'm glad. That was useful for me too. I mean, I think like one of my weaknesses in general is like, because I have that vision in my head, maybe it just sometimes stays in my head. So it's good that you're asking questions about it. Anyways, thank you everyone for being here. I see we're kind of at the end. Sorry for being late. Again, I'm going to be another 5 or 10 minutes late next week, but then the week after that, we should be all good. All this to say that I'm sorry for being late. I do appreciate your time, all the time that you guys are putting in. I guess ultimately, the thing that I would like to do while we're here together is inspire you to take action, inspire you to do something to be the change that you want to see in this world. I think that we all came together because there's something about this world that just doesn't sit right. And there's lots of ways that we could be changing it. The way that we're trying to do it here is to create these bottom-up tools and enable bottom-up organizations. And so if you have an idea of how to do that, connections between communities or whatever, anything that like lights some kind of fire in you, follow that feeling, right? Maybe it's not even that you want to do it here. Maybe you want to do it somewhere elsewhere, but wherever you're doing it, follow that feeling, because the more people we have following that fire that they feel, the better off the world is going to be. At least that's what I feel. Right now we're on max top down. They want to tell us how what to do, how to think, where to be, and I think that we should be different. We should be the ones deciding what we want to do. We should be the ones deciding what's next for the world and what we do and what we think and what we want to see next. So if you feel a little fire, I encourage you to follow that, because that is really what Black Flag is about, and that's what BCard is about as well. So thanks, everyone.